I want to talk about the summit that you have coming up here.
Okay, so the Writing Romance Mastery Summit,
Mm-hmm.
we talk to experts in the field of the writing craft. It doesn't have to necessarily be romance, but the writing
Uh-huh.
craft and publishing, both traditional and indie, and marketing, both paid and organic. And then there's a
Uh-huh.
little bit of mindset thrown in there too.
Hey there, writer, and welcome back to the Novelist Studio. I am your host, Anna Del Valle. And if you have been curious about writing a romance and how to break into this incredible genre, you're going to want to hear today's guest. Paula Judith Johnson is an award-winning author of steamy romance novels, and she's the hostess of the Writing Romance Mastery Summits. So, Paula, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Anna.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here because I always think that the romance genre, it's such a great genre for the taking. Like if you're a new author and you want to get your feet wet and you want to write something with a happy ending, guess what? The romance genre has a 21% market in the publishing industry. So this is a really great place to be.
Yes, and it also has probably the most expansive subgenres of any fiction out there.
Yeah, subgenres, you're right, because you could do a lot of combinations with romance. I mean, we've seen like, the billionaire romance, the best friends romance trope, right? So there's a lot of different tropes you can do. What are some of the top tropes that are out there right now?
Well, I write historical romance for the most part.
Uh-huh.
And I find that for my writing, I tend to have love triangles. I like
Uh-huh.
love triangles. And that's really kind of funny because I don't know where that comes from. So much of when we write, it comes from just from us. So I don't know where
Yeah.
that comes from. I was happily married for 47 years to one man. So I don't know where love triangles comes from, but I seem to do that a lot. And there are very many popular tropes. And I can't say that a book has only one trope. I used to think it had only one trope until I
Uh-huh.
read Jennifer Hill's um, uh, romance tropes book. And
Uh-huh.
I think at the very beginning she said that every novel should have 5 to 10 tropes. And I panicked until I went back and took a look at my books and I realized, oh, well, yeah, I do have a lot of different tropes in there.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's funny. I've been in that same exact panic attack before where I'm like reading a book and somebody is doing something really well, the author's doing something really well. I'm like, I need to do that. And then I go back and check and I'm like, okay, I'm already doing that. So I can understand that. So, I think it's super exciting because if you are a new author, and or an aspiring author, I should say, and you're really looking to get into the industry, I am an AI writing coach, as we were talking about earlier before we jumped on. And I just think that there's really never been a better time to be a writer. And a lot of people are, they hear AI and they think, oh, it's just AI generated. That's not how we use AI. When you're an author, that is not how you use AI. You can use AI to do a million different things, like, for example, to outline your novel or to brainstorm tropes or to brainstorm story ideas, whatever, right? And here we have, I mean, not to say that, of course, you have to understand the craft of delivering a romance novel, but a lot of that stuff has already, it's available to you now with AI, right? You can get a lot of ideas and then you can get to work. And you can get to work in this great market at 21% of the market share. So tell me a little bit about, when you work with first time writers, Paula, and they want to break into this awesome genre, right? Because, I mean, you can even have like a 7 book series. It's a really great genre to be in. Where do they start? Like, how do they even start doing this?
It's different for everyone. Um,
Uh-huh.
I can't say that you just start here. some people who are pantsers or discovery writers, they resist outlining at all, period.
Yeah.
And they have a whole different path from people who do outline. And I've done both. And
Uh-huh.
I've fallen into deep holes using both, that I've had to
Uh-huh.
climb out of. So,
Uh-huh.
um, I think the idea has to come in your head, and then you have to play with that idea a little bit. Whether you're a pantser or a plotter makes no difference.
Mm-hmm.
The spark of an idea takes time to mature. And the
Mm-hmm.
best recommendation I would have is if you have that spark, just start jotting down notes. Where does one thought lead to another? I have an entire book that was written, in fact, a sequel to it also, because of just free writing for 10 minutes about the tail end of a dream that I had. I used that as a writing prompt.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think it was ever going to go anywhere. It was contemporary. I like historical.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I knew, when I found that writing practice again after about 4 or 5 months, was my first question was, what happens next? It
Mm-hmm.
ended in the middle of a sentence. It caught my interest, and I realized if I wanted to know what happened, I had to write the book. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that can be just a case of you have an idea, start jotting down things about the idea, or use it as a writing prompt and see where it takes you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's, that's good advice. I have to tell you, I have been a pantser and a plotter, and now with the AI tools that we have at our disposal, I don't know if I could ever pants again because like just the methodology that I use with Olivia, who's my AI outliner and story strategist. I mean, when I use this tool, she really helps me outline to a degree that I can see the setting, I can see, the subplot in real time. I can see, all these storylines that are happening in real line in the outline, and it's just so exciting. And this is all based on my own idea, not the AI's, right? It's just the way that I built the tool to use, right? It really takes out the idea from your head and builds out this thing for you. And I got to tell you that, I mean, it has okay, let me put it this way, because you are a subject matter expert in romance. I'm really curious to know, with all these tools that we have right now, do you see that this genre is going to continue to explode? And do you see a lot of opportunity for new writers to jump in here?
I do. I do.
Uh-huh.
Even well past the idea of writing the novel,
Uh-huh.
I see AI as having a huge advantage over us mere mortals when it comes
Yeah.
to writing our back cover copy or description for Amazon or wherever you have it. You can instruct AI in a way that this is what the story is about, but to get somebody to buy isn't really a synopsis of the story. It's really
Uh-huh.
letting them know what are the tropes, what are the big questions of the story. It is it is sales copy of
Uh-huh.
a nature that fiction authors, unless they're trained in sales copy,
Uh-huh.
it's a completely different type of writing. And
Yeah.
so it can strengthen us in areas that we're weak.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I love that you have this view. I always tell my listeners that if they're going to be, working with any coach, to writing coach, to make sure that the writing coach also understands AI and how to leverage it. I think that's very important. It's still very nascent. I mean, it's already been around for a couple of years, but it's still very nascent, and this thing is going to continue to, explode. And I think I'm super interested in what's going to happen in the romance industry because, I mean, we're looking at some pretty big numbers here in terms of market share plus all the subgenres that are available. And I mean, here's the deal. People like to read books that excite them, that make them feel good, that make them feel happy, that have happy endings or have storylines. You yourself write historical romance.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so tell me some of the ways, and I think, this may be under NDA and you don't want to share with the listeners now, but I know that you have a project in the works. And I'm just curious to know how using a tool like AI has actually helped you flesh out some things as a romance author yourself.
Well,
Hmm.
one thing, a person that I'm currently working with on her novel, um,
Hmm.
she has told me that when she gets to, she knows where she wants to go. She has an idea for a scene, but
Uh-huh.
she isn't sure how to connect it to the previous scene or go into the next scene.
Uh-huh.
And so she will query uh, ChatGPT on, give me some ideas of
Yeah.
what can happen here. She doesn't
Uh-huh.
use the output, she puts it into her own words,
Right.
but
Hmm.
it can give her two or three ideas so that she can better understand her own novel.
Yeah.
When it comes to researching whatever time period you're in, or if you're researching a different location in contemporary, or you want to um, brainstorm some ideas for futuristic, um, Chat GPT or any of the other AI tools can be helpful in those
Hmm.
things. I always recommend that you verify the information that you're getting, such as I
Hmm.
found out just the other day that you
Hmm.
can, when you get information from chat or wherever, you can also
Hmm.
ask it for the reference material that it pulled from.
Hmm.
So you can verify whether or not this is made up, because
Hmm.
sometimes chat makes things up,
Yep.
or if it's really something that you can depend on. So that helps in the research. And research, my first novel took me 3 years to write because I had to research the War of 1812. You know, um, it
Yeah.
helps tremendously if you don't have to spend half of your writing time researching what you're going to be writing.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. So, I mean, you probably spent, it took you 3 years to write this historical novel, War of 1812, a lot of research. Hypothetically speaking, you could probably wipe off about a year and a half of research with this tool, this
Absolutely.
great tool, right? So it's funny because, and my listeners know, my listeners are AI forward, or I would hope that I am helping them uh, usher them into the new golden era of literature, which is what I like to call what we are entering here with these all tools that we have, all these great AI tools that are really democratizing writers the way that we've never been able to before. Um, and I know that they are pro AI, but there's still a lot of people that are on the fence. And in fact, just last week, I had somebody email me and say that they were, getting off my email list because they don't believe in AI generated material. Well, that's not what we're talking about here. And
That's
it's so
probably the
funny.
same
Yeah, go
probably
ahead,
the
please.
same person that a year ago raked me over the coals and told me that using AI in any form was theft. And
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
know.
really? What is Amazon's search engine? What is Google? Aren't those AI generated?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot, and we won't cover it here because I've talked about it to death before, but a lot of issues with, how they used the author's books and all of that. But, that's all the horse is out of the barn. In fact, Facebook Meta just won their lawsuit that Sarah Silverman and a bunch of other authors, complained that they use their work to train AI, and they lost in court because it's transformative use. It's like, yeah, they used your words, but they didn't, they're not copying anything, right, word for word. So it's transformative use for the artificial intelligence. So anyways, there's a bunch of stuff being done now to opt in authors. I know that you have a summit coming up, and we're going to talk about this because Paula's got a summit for those that are interested in writing romance coming up here very soon. So you stay tuned. We're going to talk about that in a second here. But I can't remember if I said this earlier, but I am a little bit jealous of those that are in the romance genre because it's such a vast market. You have so many subgenres. There's so much demand for romance. You can write series, right? And I was doing a little bit of research and I guess from traditional publishing perspective, is it true that Harlequin, now it's owned, I guess, by HarperCollins, is still sort of like the world's preeminent romance publisher, where everybody wants to get picked up by Harlequin, now HarperCollins? Is that still true, Paula?
I don't know if it's true because
Uh-huh.
it's never been anything I have aspired to.
Oh, okay, okay.
You
Uh-huh.
know, I write the story until the story ends.
Uh-huh.
And especially with Harlequin, there is parameters that you have to fit your story into.
Oh, like a formula, right? Yeah.
Not necessarily a formula, but you have to
Uh-huh.
have so many chapters, so many pages, and you can't deviate from that by more than like 2 or 3 pages.
Uh-huh.
And and as much as I admit I do like reading Harlequins, they're never
Uh-huh.
long enough for my taste. I like
Uh-huh.
longer novels. My novels average between 88,000 and 93,000 words. I think
Uh-huh.
I have one that is second in a duet that's 98,000 words or something like that. But
Yeah. That's pretty
I
long.
think
Hmm.
Harlequin is usually around 75,000. That's
Yeah.
just, when I get a book that I love and characters that I love, I don't want to say goodbye.
You want to hang out. You want to hang out. I get it.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's still a lot of people that want that. I
Uh-huh.
know personally some authors that is exactly what they want, and that's
Yeah.
great. But there are so many of us that want something different.
Want something different. Yeah. I think that, going back to your comment that there's a lot of subgenres, I do agree that there's romance that could be like upmarket fiction, right? Or commercial fiction. It doesn't necessarily have to be I mean, I guess you could call Harlequin commercial, but it's a little bit more paperback fiction, I like to call it, right? Um, so but it's interesting, right? Because romance has been here for a long time and it keeps growing sort of like these branches and branching out, right? Like we were talking about romantasy now hitting $612 million in revenue and sales, right? Which is pretty incredible. And it's a fairly new, I mean, it's been around for a while, but not to this degree or not named romantasy. But yeah, I guess one would argue that, I mean, could you call Twilight romantasy?
Okay, romantasy has equal weight to romance and fantasy.
Okay.
So you have also
Hmm.
romantic fantasy that is more weight on the fantasy, and you have, um, I guess, I don't know what you would call it, that has more. It has fantastical elements, but more weight on the romance.
Uh-huh.
But you bring up something that I think is very important. If you take a look at the market today, I would
Hmm.
say 98%, maybe more, of fiction novels have a romantic element to it.
I agree with that. Yes, you're
And
right.
and I think it's because romance becomes very personal. It
Yes.
will draw the reader in no matter who they are. It draws the reader in and makes the stakes personal.
Yeah.
So, I have an entire um, little class on adding romantic elements to genre fiction.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
gosh, that sounds great actually. Can
yeah.
you tell us about that class? Because I may even want to take that.
Um, okay, what can I say? It covers, I think, 13 different
And by the way, you can
genres.
send me the link and we can link it if I don't know if there's a link
Okay, yeah,
available.
yeah, there is.
Yeah, we can link it to
I,
the
I
show
can
notes.
I can do that. I have
Okay.
taught it live before, but now I have it
Uh-huh.
as an evergreen
Yeah.
with an AI voice, which is better than my voice.
I love that.
So, and it comes, I think,
Paula AI.
yeah, I think it comes with a workbook. I'm not I can't remember. I put it together last year.
Okay.
But that's the one thing that I think a
Uh-huh.
lot of people think that they write this or they write that. But
Hmm.
to weave a romance into like a Western or a dystopia, you can't just throw it in there. It has to be woven into it.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yes, you're right. And I love I'm going to give a use case on how this class can be beneficial to you. That's why it kind of resonated with me. I in this last novel that I'm working on, it's now in developmental edits. Um, with Ellis, my developmental AI. So when I sent it to my beta reader, she came back and said, and it's women's commercial fiction, and it's about a woman that works in Silicon Valley. Anyways, it's one of those stories. It's kind of a humorous fiction, but she came back to me and said, to make this more relatable, you have to bring forward the romance, right? And she was right. I was like, you know what? I do have a gem on the table right here with this romance piece, and I really need to weave it into my novel. So I understand exactly what you mean by that. So this class that you have, it teaches you different ways to basically weave in more romance into your story.
The class that I have is more along the lines of why the different genres need to have romance in them.
Well, that's perfect. Yes, because if you're not a romance writer, but you're listening to this and you want to add more romance to your story, that's the class for you, right?
That would be a good starting place. An excellent
Okay.
class to take would be my seductive storylines, which talks about each of the romance beats, which then, if you can visualize in your head, these are the beats of my story, these are the beats of the romance, how can I tie them together?
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Because uh,
Hmm.
I I understand romance. I don't understand how to put together these other genres, but I do
Right.
understand romance. And if somebody says, "Oh, I know how to put together a horror," I
Hmm.
can show them how to incorporate romance with that, and especially with
Hmm.
horror, I have to say, which I would never read because I get scared to death. But that romance in a horror is especially strong because you really do want to root for these people and you have no idea when you're in it, are they
Wow.
even going to be alive at the end. So
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, and horror, that could definitely be a challenge. And I could see somebody writing horror probably wanting to understand how to marry those romantic beats into their horror storyline.
absolutely, it will make it so much more
Yes,
scary.
relatable. Yes, rich. I completely agree with you. One of the things that I learned I've been writing for over 20 years. I have a degree in creative writing, and I have to say that I wish somebody would have taught me early in my career, which is what we're talking about here. No matter what book you're writing, it has to be relatable. It has to be relatable to the human condition. And one of the best ways to do that is through romance.
Absolutely.
Everybody can relate to a broken heart, everybody can relate to longing for that person or that romance.
Right.
So, yeah, Paula, I want to talk about the summit that you have coming up here.
Okay. So the Writing Romance Mastery Summit,
Mm-hmm.
we talk to experts in the field of the writing craft. It doesn't have to necessarily be romance, but the writing
Uh-huh.
craft and publishing, both traditional and indie, and marketing, both paid and organic. And then there's a
Uh-huh.
little bit of mindset thrown in there too.
Uh-huh.
So the summit will run for 5 days, new speakers every day. It will go Monday through Friday.
Uh-huh.
Registration begins on August 11th. People
August
can
11th, okay.
people can
Mhm.
register for free,
Okay.
and they have 15 minutes after that to buy a ticket if they want to,
Mm-hmm.
which gives them a lot of extra bonuses. At a discount. That ticket is discounted for the first 15 minutes. But
Hmm.
if they don't buy a ticket, they can still watch the entire summit for free. It's
Wow.
just on a very limited basis. They will have to pretty much quit their job, find somebody to cook for them, and not sleep. But other than that, they can watch the summit for free.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds really good. And I've seen some prices for if you want to opt in for the higher price, and it's very reasonable, I have to say, very reasonable. So I would definitely do that, especially if you are really thinking about going all in. I think, in romance and really understanding this market, Paula is an expert, has been doing it for a long time, and
Right, and my summit
speakers.
gives lifetime access. I know a lot of summits these days give
Hmm.
1 year or 2 years access. Mine is lifetime access,
Hmm.
downloadable audio so you can listen while you're jogging or whatever, and
Hmm.
gifts from the speakers to
Hmm.
help with whatever it is they talk about.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
um, as a
Yeah,
for
that's awesome.
instance, yeah, as
Hmm.
a for instance, with this summit, Matt Stone of 100 Covers is talking about what makes an effective romance cover.
Oh, that's great.
And
Hmm.
then he also, for a limited time, I don't remember how much time after that, you can get your romance covers for $100 off.
Oh, so there's going to be some nice promos for viewers as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome. The more that we talk about this, Paula, I feel like this summit is good for everyone because romance is sort of like the thread, like we were talking about, that really kind of pulls in every genre, and it's one of those tricks of the trade that writers are using now. Me, for example, right? And what my beta reader told me, bring in the romance, make it bigger, right? So I think that this is a great summit to start and get your feet wet and really understand this genre, because I feel like if you understand the romance genre, you're going to do really well in any genre.
That's true. And I've had
Hmm.
many people, this is my sixth writing romance mastery summit. And I've
Hmm.
had people from every summit say, I don't write romance, but there was so much great information here
Hmm.
that, I either bought a ticket or I watched the whole thing, or these were my favorite sessions. You don't
Uh-huh.
have to watch everything if there's something that doesn't interest you, but there are gems in every single session.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. So we're gonna link the registration on the show notes so that folks can have easy access and register for free. And make sure that you check that out. And I'm also going to be linking some other a freebie that Paula is going to be giving out, AI tools for authors, and also your link for your course on
Right,
if that's available, or how to get there. So
right.
we're going to have all those links on the show notes. So Paula, it's been absolutely wonderful having you.
I have enjoyed this tremendously.
All right, Paula. Well, hey there, writer. If you enjoyed the show, make sure that you like and subscribe. And until next time, keep on writing.